Howdy, I'm Matt, and are you fed up with your fan not working on your Fatshark V3s? In front of us right now we have a modded set of V3s, which we'll get to in a moment, but the cause of this issue is, I feel, down to the questionable connection of the fan connector, and that is because in front of us I have 3 official Fatshark batteries, and you'll notice on the first one the balance lead connectors have completely come off. The second one I did repair and mod the balance lead connector, but no, those wires have been broken again. And the 18650 battery pack, which I only bought literally just a couple of months ago, is the wires silicone. Again, they're good quality silicone, well, goodish quality silicone wires. They have just broken due to fatigue over a period of time, and here in the United Kingdom it's summertime, and that means is that our goggles do get misted up from, well, every time I use them, to be brutally honest, and the fan doesn't work because you put them on and you've got to jiggle around. Anyway, this is my mod. This is what I've been and done to my Fatshark V3s, and this is what we're going to be discussing in this video, which is very simply is that we have an extra balance lead coming in, and I've been and modded mine so that we only need the main battery connector, and my fan will now work without a silly balance lead, which will break after 3 or 4 times of use. So if that is of interest to you, let's jump to the next section and we'll discuss this in more detail. Howdy, I'm Matt, and in front of us we've got a pair of Dominator V3 Fatshark goggles, and they're in pieces. But why are they in pieces? And it's the one most frustrating thing for me about the V3s and also the models which have come before, is that what you've got is the faceplate here, shock horror, it's in pieces, and you've got this fan on the top, and I understand why, but it just drives me nuts. It could have been done so much better by Fatshark. What they do is that you have the balance lead, you normally got a battery pack here, and that's sat on the side of your head, and you plug your goggles in, and then you've got this separate lead for your fan. Now, I'm pretty sure that I'm exactly the same as you, and you have your fan connected and on the vast majority of the time. It's one of those things when if you have it connected, you need it on, okay? Especially here in the UK, we've got summer just kicked in and it mist up in no time. And also in the winter as well, where it's cold, it fogs up like in 2 seconds flat. And I do not understand, for the life of me, why Fatshark have this as a separate connection, and I know why they did it. I don't understand why they did it the way they did, which is that this faceplate is actually that. It's exactly that. It's a separate piece to the puzzle, and what they've done, instead of putting a connector down from the bottom of the faceplate so it sits onto the top of the goggles so it's a seamless connection and you don't need the balance lead, is that they've gone for the separate connection because it's just cheaper, I presume, for them to do it that way. It's either the connector or it's the wires themselves. They just break over time, and this is the 3rd battery pack which I got, and this one's special because I've got this is the bigger one with the 18650 batteries in, and this one's it's really new. This is only a couple of months old, and now those wires have failed. So that's been the tipping point to me. It was a real sunny day yesterday, and then these wires broke, and I couldn't see where I was going because my goggles were fogged up. So I swore today I would fix it, and that's what I've been and done. So I've been and stopped myself at a place in time where I can show you what I've done and why I've done what I have done, if that makes sense. So taking your Fatshark 3s apart is kind of a scary thing, and I did make a bit of a script because I watched, I'll put a link clip on this, I've watched this video.
Now that the screws and faceplate are removed, we can separate the goggles. Carefully pull apart the goggles starting from the sides. The middle section of the goggles took quite a bit of force to remove on Nova's goggles, but it eventually came off. When pulling these apart, be careful not to apply too much force and send the internal parts flying.
And then by that time he said don't force it too much. I'd already ripped it in half, and there's 2 little clips either side. They are very easy to get undone. There's 3 screws on the bottom and 1 on the top, and that's it to take it apart. But the 2 clips in the middle are very tight, and once they go clip, I had 2 pieces in my hand, and I did pull out the ribbon cable out of the top board. Anyway, let's get to the point which I'm trying to make here, is that what I've been and done, let me zoom right in so you can see what I've been and done and why I've been and done it this way, is because it beats me that why we couldn't just tap off the power, or why Fatshark didn't tap the power from the main battery up to the fan itself. So what I've been and done is created my own mod, where is that I've got this 2S balance lead poking out the top, and that will bend around and plug into that 2S connector. And then of course I'm not plugging this in every single time, and crucially I can disconnect it if I ever need to take the faceplate off and clean in behind, for example. So I could have soldered up and gone straight onto the faceplate, but that would have made it very tricky for me to put all the parts back together again. Unlike if Fatshark have done this, they could have had a little connector just here, and then when you put the faceplate in, it could have nicely connected together. But no, they've gone for the cheapest solution possible, hence why I'm having to mod mine. So I've got a 2S balance lead which will get up and bent round, and what I'll do is that I'll put some E6000 glue, which I don't have on my desk right now. I'll put a little insert of a picture of it. It's a rubberized glue, so it's either E6000 glue or maybe a goop glue to give a rubberized corner once this is set in there like so. Then I've drilled a hole in the top for those two cables, and then those come down to the power connector. So I've got the voltage meter out, and the back one here, so that's where you plug in from this side. The back one is the positive, and then either of those two there are the negatives or the grounds. So I've been and connected those up, and now I'm going to put it back together again. I know that I've got an extra bit of wire. It's a little bit too long, and that's actually a good thing because that makes it easier for me to put everything back together. And then once I've done that, I'll poke the any excess which I've got down the hole, and then I'll put a little bit of goop glue in on top, because I'm not using a head tracker board, and even if I was using a head tracker board down here in this bottom board, is that there'll be still plenty of room to tuck those cables out of the way. So tell you what, let's do by the magic of video editing, is that what we'll do is that we'll take a look at the finishing and we'll see it working. So 3, 2, 1, ta-da! Right. So I've just been and put it back together, and there is my mod. So you'll now see, and I'm missing the plastic foam bit around the outside because I wanted to show you this. So there's my mod. I have the 2S battery connector lead going around. It goes through to the top, just a little drill hole, if I can put this in the right place. Drilled a hole in the top, and again you'll see that I marked it as well. If you're going to do this on yours, I'd strongly suggest you do that on yours too. Just mark where you think the hole should be, and you'll see where mine is. It's just up from the corner, and then the cables come in, and then coming around. I wonder if I can just zoom right in. So zoom right in so you can see what's going on. So it's on the head tracker side, and the cables come in, and they're just floating up around there, and that means that I do have quite a bit of flex in those cables. If I need to, but what I am going to do is just put a little dab of either goop or E6000 glue there, just to keep the moisture from coming down into the module itself, and that was it. Now the only tricky bit which I had when I was putting these putting the goggles back together again is that this board was slightly out of alignment. You'll see that there's a little T-piece there. A tip for you is to put that screw in down here, but don't tighten it all the way up. Let this board be able to float around a bit, so then you've only got a little bit of wiggle room just to clip these back together again. So let me just recap what I've been and done, is that taking the foam off the front, or you could perhaps just lift up this piece here, and there's one little screwdriver here. This front module just unclips, okay? Just click, 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 and it just falls off in your hands, okay? Underneath there are 3 screws. There's one here, in the middle, and on the end, and you will need a slightly extended screwdriver to be able to get these two on either end, because they are down really quite deep in the goggles themselves. When you take the goggles apart, I cannot stress this enough from my personal experience a few moments ago, is that there's 2 clips in the middle here, and you do need to use a little bit of force to get them to come apart. Now, if I was to do this again, what I would do is get a flathead screwdriver, and I would just ease the parts apart in this front seam, because if I do it on the front and make a mistake, you'll see the mistake, or you'll see the plastic bending. On the back here, underneath here, is that nobody will see that if I make, or if you or I leave screwdriver marks in there, and I would just prise them apart here. And you need to go really, really careful, because on this side there is a flat ribbon cable, and that did get pulled out on mine. Thankfully, I've just been and tested mine, they're all fine, okay? On that board, there's like a little, the ribbon cable goes in, and then what you need to do is a little black clip either side, and you just nudge the black clip either side, and then the cable just comes out in your hands. Really, and again, if it's not falling out in your hands, you've not pulled that clip forwards enough, okay? And you can either do that on the top piece or the bottom, but I would suggest doing it on the inside board, because that was nice and easy to put back together again. This board itself here, there was a little tiny little connector, again just eased up with a flathead screwdriver. The connector popped out and you can see the cables which are floating around in there. And then I just soldered on the bottom of the battery plug. Now that has now been and left me with a modified pair of V3s with that tiny little power connector on there. And that now means that, again, if I had the straps on the back, is that when I connect my battery up, I can now plug that in like so, and I can now hit the fan, and my fan's working, and I don't have to use the silly balance lead. Very, very frustrating. So there is my fan mod-ish, or it's the fan power supply mod for the Fatshark V3s. If your goggles have has this faceplate on here, then yeah, you'll be able to do that for yours as well. It's took me, say, 10 minutes to do all in. In fact, it's taken me longer to make and then edit this video than what it did to take me to modify the Fatshark V3. So yeah, I do like my goggles. I've always said that Fatsharks are very good, but they're also very, very, very expensive for what they are compared to what are the other options out there on the outside world. But this one has just made them a little bit less frustration free. So for myself, Matt, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this episode. If you have any questions or comments about this modification, please just ask in the comments section underneath this video. So for myself, Matt, cheerios.